Hey everyone, good morning, December 1st. I want to talk about validation, proving yourself to other people, feeling like you aren't worthy of doing something, maybe the imposter syndrome, or feeling like once you're clear on your identity that you have to prove that you know what you're doing, that you have to prove that what you are doing is true, or prove that what you're saying is true, and defend yourself against criticism and attacks from other people. If you're feeling that way, often that is a response to feeling like you are not validated in your life, feeling like other people don't believe you because you don't believe in yourself. It's a reflection on how you see yourself to other people. And so reason that I know this is because once you become solid and clear in your identity and yourself, you actually stop having to prove yourself to people altogether, even if they believe that what you're saying is untrue, even if people believe that you have ill intention, bad motives, or whatever. Every moment that you try to prove and validate yourself to people, you're actually effectively cutting your argument in half and weakening your stance. This is not a position of weak versus power and forcing things on people. It's about you seeing yourself as a powerful person, which means that you also do not have the power to control other people because they don't have the power to control you. A powerful person never assumes that they can control other people. A powerless person believes that they can control other people and have to prove themselves to do so because they also believe other people can do the same to them. And so it comes from identity. It comes from being clear and knowing who you are, whose you are, and what you're doing. Now, what's the best way to prove yourself to people? Because sometimes there's that. You want to know what it is? It's just doing it. It's just doing the thing and not talking about it. It's stop trying to validate yourself to yourself and others and just doing it, even without proof, even without validation, even without having all the ducks in a row and it being perfect and having this idol of perfection in your life, just doing it. And yet so often we're within the balance of, oh, I have to prove myself to others before I can get started, or I have to prove that I know what I'm doing before I can start. And we worship the need to understand more than where the understanding came from. Because we don't feel like we're worthy of that thing, and so we have to get validation from other people. The newsflash is this: nobody on planet Earth is ever going to validate you enough to reach that level. Okay? And that validation, to be perfectly honest, only comes from within and being connected with the one who created you, knowing that the purpose and the plans and the destiny that are on your life are not up for question by other people. And as soon as you get clear on that, this is so good. As soon as you get clear on the fact that it's not up for question, you stop having to answer the questions and defend yourself and prove yourself and prove that what you're doing is true and correct. You show that it's true by the way you live your life and the fruit in your life. The fruit that comes out shows it. And it's kind of funny. There's even in this some people, I believe, that might be watching this and saying, well, no, I have to show myself approved, or I have to stand to give an answer when anybody questions me. You want to know what giving an answer is? It's not verbal. It's not the words you type as a keyboard warrior arguing with people on social media. It's the fruit in your life. The fruit of knowing whose you are, what you're doing, not letting the validation or invalidation of other people knock you off track. When you stop overthinking, I made a video on that last night, yesterday. I have a podcast coming out tomorrow morning on becoming a decisive leader and stopping overthinking. Because in this, to become a decisive leader, you have to stop having to prove your decisions. You have to learn to make decisions even when everything else around you says that that's a bad idea, but you have an intuition, you have a gut feeling, you have history in your life that you say, you know what? I'm going to take a risk here. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to step out and do what I was made to do and do what I was called to do, even if I look silly temporarily, even if I get misjudged, even if I'm misunderstood. It's time to stop overthinking. It's time to feel like you are not worthy of the things that you're doing in your life and realize that there's a call and a destiny that God put on your life, but He also gave you free will to choose to go after it or to go after what you feel, what you want. And so it's about saying, God, show me, direct my footsteps, direct where I should go, what I should do, who I should talk to, and stop going where you're not celebrated and merely tolerated. There's a quote I heard, a guy, his name is Michael Clifford, he got it from someone else. He said, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. Now in sales, often when we're selling, we're going to often be just tolerated by people, but if they're tolerating you in sales, they're also celebrating you at the same time. And you got to almost flip your perspective and realize if somebody's not a no, they actually want to know more. Okay? And this wasn't supposed to be a sales training, but in that, if somebody is a no, shake your shoes off and keep going. Don't try to prove yourself to somebody that's already made up their mind. It'll come around. You're not the only person on planet Earth to show that person and to help them do something. Now, are we supposed to help other people? Get our eyes off ourselves? Absolutely. In fact, this is the only way to quit having to prove and validate yourself. This is the only way to quit overthinking, is to stop looking inward and how you feel and realize that what you are feeling isn't about you, and that what your destiny is actually not about you. It's about helping other people around you. The overflow of that, without trying, is you get what you need. And we ask in our prayer time with God what we need. But when we're constantly trying to prove that we deserve to be alive, that we constantly try to prove that we deserve to be doing what we're doing, we constantly try to prove our haters wrong as our only motivation, we actually are less effective at ever doing that because we are giving so much energy towards the things that we don't want, instead of just trusting and following the path, not having to prove yourself to other people, not having to prove that what you're saying is true. Yeah. Not having to prove to anybody. They can find that out on their own. Just speaking truth without having to include validation that it's truth. And when you do this, I'm not talking about bulldozing over people. I'm not talking about with hatred, bigotry, trying to say, well, this is the truth, so do that, do that, do that, or else you're, that's self-serving to do that. That comes from fear. That comes from worry of pain and punishment. But when we come from a place of love and connection and goodness, we can connect with other people and help other people reach their goals and get our eyes off of ourselves, off of our self-centeredness and our self-seeking, and say, okay, how can I make my brother or sister more important than me in this scenario and have compassion? Because I'm grateful for my situation, so I've taken care of myself now. How can I help another person? And that's what we do in business. And in business, when you do that, if we're talking pure numbers here with money, the profit margins go through the roof. When you get your eyes off of how can I pay my bills, how can I pay the rent, how can I pay for everything and make the money that I need, and we make our focus, how can I serve and help another human being go from where they are to where they need to be? The overflow of that is all of our needs are taken care of. by trusting and living in that abundance mindset and out of a lack mentality. So I want to encourage you, if you're an overthinker like me, I'm guilty of all this stuff, by the way, you guys. Everything I'm sharing with you guys is stuff that I'm working through actively still now, having to prove myself and all of that to people. And then I'm sharing what I'm learning with you guys. I'm sharing what works. I'm sharing what I've observed from other people. I want to encourage you, if you're somebody that's doing that, that you're feeling that way, take some time to pray. There might be some areas in your life that need some healing, maybe some past traumas or things that you've gone through that you've held on to, what the meaning of that was that you decided for yourself that actually isn't truth. Decide based on what God says about you, what the truth is. Replace that lie. Forgive yourself, forgive other people, and from forgiveness comes freedom to go after our destiny. Grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk soon.